Today I'm going to be upgrading the gauges on my pillar in the FDRX7. While we're waiting for the snow to go away so I can actually go for a test drive, I decided to make most of my time here in the garage and install some gauges.
Seriously, I just had it.
These are Prosport performance gauges. They are wideband. I really liked the look of these gauges. They black out and then they read digitally and have a display, and they're not too deep, so they'll actually fit into smaller pods, which is a good thing for me. Here's the setup of what we have so far. We've got our gauge, which comes to the control unit, and then sensor comes out here. This wire is actually an analog output, so if you're doing data logging or running a data logit or whatever, you can use that. That's going to be a future thing that I will be doing. I actually have the data logit on order. And then over here we have our power wires, which will go to constant source, accessory, ground, and the headlight switch to light up the gauge. The other thing I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be putting in a new boost gauge. This is also from Prosport. No, they did not sponsor this video. I just needed a 60mm gauge that would fit into my pods, and I really like the way that they look and the fact that I can change colors from, white, green, blue, and red. I think that that was a pretty cool option, and they got pretty decent reviews, so I'm excited to give them a shot and see what happens here. Got all the accessories for the boost gauge. It's going to be adding a bunch of wires to the FD and taking out the old gauges. So I'm going to start with doing that, take out the old gauges, and then we'll worry about getting the rest of these guys put in. So far I've disconnected the gauge pod from the pillar here. The gauges that I'm pulling out are a mechanical boost gauge, kind of old school, and an exhaust temperature gauge. The exhaust temperature gauge wasn't actually ever hooked up to anything. You can see the coil of wires down here. For whatever reason it wasn't hooked up, so I probably will hook that up in the future, but for now I want to get the air to fuel gauge and boost gauge hooked up in here. Just a little tip for anyone that's doing this, replacing gauges. You can see the wires sticking out through here. I'm just going to take a little piece of string and tie it to these guys as I pull them out, and that way I'll have a string that goes from here down to the bottom, and then I can just feed my new wires up using the string instead of disassembling everything in through here. Well, we got everything hooked up. That was not fun. Still have a lot of wire tucking to do, but we're going to test it out for the first time. And gauges are up and running. Cool. And the gauges are up and running. Sweet. I'm really excited about how the gauges turned out. I'm really looking forward to taking this thing for a test drive and actually testing things out. And pretty soon I'll have my data log it in and we'll install that, and we'll be able to actually log some information and see what my air to fuel ratios are doing. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.